this is very important. When you eventually get to a different level, it's not that you're using different things.
Yeah.
You're just in a different platform.
Mm. That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He didn't use something different. He used the same thing he killed the lion. He
Yeah.
used the same thing that he killed the bear. He was just in a different level,
Mm.
right? So it's not, sometimes we think like, okay, now I'm here, I gotta change things. No, you continue to be the guy that was formed in the field. You're
Yeah.
just in a different platform now. And we see David, and this is where I know that he is a man of God, after God's own heart, because David is, he could have gotten upset. He could, but I can imagine David say, "Man, I hope they're having a great time."
Mm.
You know, because the question now becomes, what do you do when you're not invited?
I get mad. I
You
mean,
know,
I say, why?
but think about it, just for the people that are watching. And I want you to think about this. If you're watching this podcast, what has been your reaction when you're not given that position,
Yeah.
when you're not brought over to what God's doing,
Yeah.
right? When you feel like, hey, how come they're not letting me be part of this?
Mm.
How come I'm not being considered, or why I wasn't taken into account, right? And you feel left out, you feel like an outcast. What is your reaction? Because I think that the reason sometimes God allows those moments as we're being processed is He wants to know your attitude, right?
Mm.
Because your attitude is going to reflect, I want it to be about me, or I want it to be about God,
Wow. That's good.
right?
Yeah.
And if the reaction is I got mad and I got upset and I feel like they don't ever take me account, they don't use me, and I should have been invited, and I have the qualities and I can do it better, and this and that. If that's your attitude, then you want to live your ministry to be all about you, right? You're not ready for that. And if the other, if it's different, if your attitude is like, man, this is what I believe David's attitude was like, man, I hope they're having a good time.
Yeah.
Man, good for my brothers.
Yeah.
Good for my family. Man, to have the man of God in our home, man, what a privilege, what an honor. This and that. He wasn't saying, man, why they didn't take me? Why didn't they tell me? How come I didn't get the
That
invite?
will be me.
Yeah, that should have been me there with them. He didn't
Yeah.
say that. And it's not that the Bible actually says it, if he said it or said it not, but I'm reading the Bible and I'm thinking that must have been him.
Yeah.
Because it's only then with that attitude that you actually get invited.
Mm.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
good. Yeah.
Because when you look at Jesse's kids, they were all about appearance, right? Jesse's all about appearances.
Yeah.
He thinks this is what the Lord wants, right?
Yeah.
And the Lord tells the prophet, he said, I don't look at what
Yeah.
men looks at. I don't look at the exterior. I
Yeah.
look at the heart,
Oh, look at the heart. Yeah. Correct.
right? And then we know the story. He says, we're not gonna sit down. Do you have another kid?
Yeah.
Right? And then he says, yeah, we have one. And the Hebrew word that is used there,
Mm.
it's called Caden.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he describes, he goes, yeah, we have a younger one, the minor one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is actually a word that means the insignificant one,
Wow.
the unimportant one.
Mm-hmm.
So look at how they had David
Yeah.
as the insignificant. You do the dirty work for the family. You're not part of these guys who are elite, and they are the ones that are serving the king and
Yeah.
going off to war, and you're not the pride of the family.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yet, that's the guy. That's the guy that God wants to use, right? The least of these.
Yeah.
You know, the one that everybody has outcasted, discarded, the one that doesn't have the accolades or the positions, but yet has a heart, a humble heart, a contrite heart, a desire to serve God. And so he tells them, we're not going to sit down
Okay.
until you bring me the insignificant one, the one that you didn't even consider to even invite.
Yeah.
We're not going to sit to eat. We're not going to sit at the table until you bring that guy, right? And then that's why. But where did it start? It started in the field.
It started in the
It
field.
started him
Yeah.
just understanding what he's doing, right? And so that's that builds you. That builds
Yeah.
your character.
Yeah. So we can consider that the fields are very important in the process
Oh yeah,
where
for sure.
God is taking us.
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
and especially for the young generation
Yeah.
that we have, that you are mentioned that everyone's want the things very quickly, you know,
Yeah.
and they want it now. They don't wanna wait until tomorrow or until God said
Yeah.
today is the day,
Yeah.
right? And I like something that you mentioned in the fields. There is a place when you are where you are lonely. Explain me that, please.
Yeah, you're lonely there because you know what? One of the things that worries me about this generations of many of these people that are trying to speak
Yeah.
is the whole, the way our life is now,
Okay.
right? Where everything is more public,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everything is more out there,
Yeah.
right? People, we have our Instagrams and we have our Facebook
Yeah.
pages and we have all these, and we're dictating and writing what we want people to know about us and what we want them to see about us, and and we get a high, for if people want to be our friends,
Mm-hmm.
and people like our stuff, and so all of this is happening. It's in our human nature to want to be liked, to be want to be accepted, to want to be part of something and to be seen, you know
Mm.
and we can fall into that, wanting to be popular and all these things, right? And I see this time in David's life where none of that is happening, right? He is just going about his business, right? He's all about, I'm gonna put it this way, he's all about his father's business,
Yeah.
right? Because what he's doing there is he's taking care of his father's stuff,
Yeah.
right? And that's key, because one of the things that I teach on this on fields is that one of the things that helps you graduate to the next level of where God's gonna use you in ministry, what you do is, are you able to take care of what's
Mm.
not yours,
Wow.
right? How do you take care of the things that are not your things, right? Those were not his sheep; those were his father's sheep. And the
Yeah.
word is very specific about it. He was taking care of his father's sheep. How do you take care of what's not yours? Because you can only have, what you take care of well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so he was taking care of his father's sheep. He was looking after what was not his, and he was doing a good job about it. So much so that he was risking his life for them, right? The word of God says, if the bear would come, I would kill it. If the lion would come, I would kill it. Now, I believe that it wasn't just one bear, or I think that it was multiple attacks and multiple times that he had to defend those sheep, with everything he had, yet they weren't his,
Mm.
right? And we have people that they want to go off and get
Stuff.
their own stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their own church and
Yeah.
their own ministry and their own this and that. My question to them would be, how have you taken care of where you were at,
Mm.
right? What did you do when you were serving under that leadership or that pastor? How did you take care of their things, right? Were you passionate about it and zealous about it? And were you willing to give your life for it? But now yet you want those that are following you to do anything for you, right? To follow you, blindly, right? If you want to put it
Yeah.
that way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's true.
And you want, but yet you didn't sow that,
Mm.
right? You didn't do that. You weren't willing to give everything you had for that other guy's ministry, right? And
Yeah.
and say, man, I'm it's not mine, but I'm gonna do everything for it. And I
Yeah.
think that that's very key to graduate you to the next level that God has.
Wow. Wow. Now I'm gonna turn it to you
Yeah,
from Fields.
yeah,
Okay. Can you share to us and for the people who is watching or listen this podcast, if you can tell us a personal story about you compared it with the fields that you are or you feeling it that, oh man, I'm in the field right now and I'm gonna enjoy the process and I'm gonna trust you God, and I know that you're gonna give me something, or you are
yeah,
gonna talk to me or the answer, or something that you feel.
yeah. I mean, just my whole ministry life, right?
Okay.
So I gave my life to the Lord, truly gave my life to the Lord to the point where like this is it. I'm not going back. I'm
Yeah.
gonna serve God with everything at the age of 18 years old, right?
Okay.
And my desire was to I'm sorry, 19 years old. I was had just turned 19 years old.
Okay. 19.
And I just said, I'm gonna serve God with everything. I'm gonna give everything I got. And uh, a ministry that was had they were a traveling band, and they were a gospel band, and they would travel all over,
Yeah.
the the the,
The U.S.
the U.S. and different parts of Mexico and other
Mm-hmm.
other countries. They invited me to partake in that ministry, right? But the invite wasn't to for me to actually the invite was, hey, can you be our driver? that, that was the
Wow.
yeah, that was the calling, right? and
Yeah.
and I'm excited. I want to serve God, and just a side note to that. I mean, I did grow up in a pastoral home. My parents were pastors since,
Yeah.
since day one that I was born. So I knew that there was a calling in my life, not because they were pastors, but because throughout my youth, I had been,
Yeah.
I had been given prophetic word, and I knew in my heart that God was taking me towards that. But then I get invited, right? So I really dedicate my life to the Lord. I said, okay, I'm gonna serve God with everything. I'm not going back. I'm going forward. And I get invited to be the driver of this band and to be the sound guy, right?
Okay.
So I'm the person
Yeah.
that's gonna drive them to wherever they need to go,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna set up their equipment and their
So,
sound and
yeah.
everything like that. That was my job,
Wow.
right? Um, and the question becomes is, what do you do when you believe you've been born for something better and greater, but you're not walking in that or you're not living that, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Right. And so my thing is, it goes back to David, and what he did was like, you know what? Let me take care of what's mine as best as I can. And so that's what I did for several years, for from '97 all the way to 2001. I traveled with this ministry, and I took care of that minister and his band and everything that they were doing. But in those years, he began to say, "Hey, um, can you? I want you to speak. I want you." So he started.
Mm.
He started. He started, embracing me, and he
Yeah.
started, saying, believing in me, and he
Yeah.
started saying, "Hey, you know what? Can you do this for us and
Yeah.
this and that?" And so, but that didn't come as, "Oh yeah, I'll travel with you, but you know what? I've been called to do this, and if it's not that, I don't want to go
I
with
don't
you."
want to. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
true.
my thing is like, yeah, I mean, awesome. I want the opportunity to travel. I want to see what God's doing, because God would move in this ministry, awesome. And I mean, I got to see so many lives given to the Lord. I got to see so many families restored. I mean, I have so many testimonies about that, what I lived with this ministry,
Yeah.
but I submitted myself to that ministry, and I would do that. I would drive. Sometimes I
Yeah.
would drive 16 hours straight because I
Wow.
needed to get from one state to another.
Wow.
I would set up their equipment. I would take down, break down, put up, and then and many times that I could, I mean, I would carry the minister's Bible in his in
Yeah.
his in his suitcase,
Wow.
and take it for him. He didn't ask me to do that. I would do it because the way I saw it is, you know what? Wherever God is taking me, this is where it starts.
Mm. So you start taking care of stuff that don't belong to you,
Exactly, exactly.
but then God start open doors
Oh yeah, for sure.
for you.
Because let me tell you something. What happened years later? Those same doors that I was able to walk through
Mhm.
in his ministry.
Yeah.
Years later, I was called to walk through them on my own ministry,
You see, and
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 I got to travel to so many places because of that.
and it's about the attitude.
Exactly.
You talk about it.
It's about the heart.
It's about the heart. Um, but we have a generation here that they have the bad attitude.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh
And
no,"
of
but
course, not all of them, right? We're not
no,
going
no,
to
no, no, no,
generalize
no, no,
everybody,
no, no,
but
no,
some
no.
do. Yeah.
Some of them,
Yeah.
okay? They say, "No, but this is my calling, and this is the stuff that
Yeah.
I called to do,"
Yeah.
but they don't want to be in the field.
They don't want to be in the field. They don't want
Wow.
to be in the field. And it's in the field where you receive the anointing,
Yeah.
It's in the field where you learn to battle with your own character, your
Yeah.
own emotions.
Yeah.
It's in the field where you build a resume,
Wow.
right, and credibility.
Yeah.
Because nobody's watching, but yet you know what you're doing. It's in the field where where God gives you your own weapon,
Yeah.
right? If you want to call it that way,
Yeah.
because years later when sometime later when he goes and fights Goliath,
Yeah.
right, and he's talking to Saul's trying to place his armor. We'll talk about that, but yet he pulls out what he's always known,
Yeah.
right? So where did he get that from? He got in the field,
Yeah. You got in
right?
the field. Yeah.
This is very important. When you eventually get to a different level, it's not that you're using different things.
Yeah.
You're just in a different platform.
Mm. That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He didn't use something different. He used the same thing he killed the lion. He
Yeah.
used the same thing that he killed the bear. He was just in a different level,
Mm.
right? So it's not. Sometimes we think like, okay, now I'm here, I got to change things. No, you continue to be the guy that was formed in the field. You're
Yeah.
just in a different platform now. You
Oof.
you didn't have an audience, but now you do.
Now you do. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Correct.
saying?
Yeah.
So but it's here where I was formed.
Yeah.
It's here where I was made.
Yeah.
So
The process is changing.
exactly. Well, the seasons are changing. The
The
process
seasons.
is you're still being processed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and for being closing right now, what else you can tell us about the fields? For let the people who is watching this podcast with something that they're gonna treasure in their hearts and put it for action.
Yeah. One of the things that we see whenever David one morning, the word of God says that one morning David gets up and his dad,
Yeah.
Jesse, says, "Hey, I need you to see what's going on with your brothers. Right? I
Mm.
need you to see
Yeah.
what's happening there,
Yeah.
right? To keep an eye on them." And he gives him some bread and some cheese, right? And he says, "I want you to take these breads. I want you to take these cheese. And you're gonna take it to one of the captains, and then you can look after your brothers,
Yeah.
stuff like that." So he's getting ready, and two things that happen there simultaneously. One, remember, David is taking care of what's not his,
Yeah.
and he's very careful about taking care of what's not his. But that day that he has to do something different, he got his father's telling him, "I need you to do this." He's very obedient.
Yeah.
Right? You don't see David say, "Hey, well, why do I gotta go? And how come they can't come down? And why don't you go, Dad?" He's all about obedience. And one of the things that you learn in the field is how to submit
Mm. Yeah.
and how to be obedient.
Yeah.
Right? How to submit under authority. Right? Because
Yes.
that's one of the problems that we're having. We have a lot of pastors that are unsubmitted to anybody.
Yeah.
Right? They have no overseer. They have no authority over them. They're doing their own thing, and that's a very dangerous place,
Yeah.
right? And that's in a conversation all on its own, right? But David, he receives this thing, and two things happen. One, he takes off to do it, but before that, he leaves his father's sheep well taken care of,
Mm.
right? So it tells you about how important it was to David to be mindful of what he's doing, faithful to what he's doing.
Wow.
Right? He's not just doing it to doing it. It's not just a checkoff list like, okay, I'm doing this,
Yeah.
right? So that I can go here. Because people that are always thinking about where they want to go, they never enjoy the moment.
Mm.
They don't enjoy the journey and they don't learn from it.
Yeah.
Because they're always thinking, I'm just doing this so I can get here. I'm just doing this so I can get here. But that's the thing. It's not about getting there. That's already been set.
Yeah.
You're gonna get there if you do it right.
Yeah.
Right. The thing about it is what do you do and how do you enjoy it? How faithful you are in what you're doing and living the moment now.
Mm.
Right. And then the other thing that David does is he takes the bread, he takes the cheese, he takes off, right, and he goes sees his brothers. And I'll leave you with this, and this is probably what carries over. The thing is, I always that day David had no idea. He had no idea that was a day that God was going to showcase him for the first time in front of an audience.
Wow.
Right? Because it was that day that he shows up and he finds out that Goliath is
Yeah.
defying the armies of God and
Yeah.
talking noise, and he's ready to throw down, right?
Yeah.
But David didn't know that. He was just being obedient.
Yeah.
Right? I heard this one time said, and I love it. I love it. I don't remember the name of the person, but he was asked, what brought you here? And he said, every time I said yes to God.
Mm.
Eventually, those yeses, they accumulate.
Okay.
and they take you down somewhere.
Yeah.
And all David was doing to his father Jesse was, okay, Dad, yes.
Yeah.
You want me to take care of the sheep? Yes.
Yes.
You want me to be out here in the field? Yes.
Yes.
Do you want me to risk my life? Yes.
Mhm.
Do you want me to carry bread and cheese? Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to go look at after my brothers? Yes. It's just yes, God. Yes, yes. It's just your will, your will, your will. And I don't know if David had his own plans. I don't know if they had his own thing, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
But all he was doing was yes, yes to his father, yes to his father, yes to his father. And it's how many yeses are you willing to say yes, Father, yes, Father, yes, Father, whatever you want to do, yes, Father, right? And it's him taking us to the next level, right? So he takes off on a yes to his father Jesse. I'll take the cheese, I'll take the bread, but he had no idea that he's about to be showcased, right? In front of an audience, in front of the king, who he was going to replace, and knowing that he was the anointed one for the next king, because he knew it,
Wow.
but he didn't boast about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so he didn't put it on Facebook or Instagram. I'm the next king, right?
Woohoo.
He didn't say that, right? He just was waiting, but he was submitting. He was being obedient. He goes and God's about to showcase him, and he doesn't know that, right? Because all he knew was that day was today. My job is to be a bread and cheese carrier,
Mm.
right? And my question I always pose people is this: do you want to be a giant killer or a bread and cheese carrier? And some people, you'd be surprised, they get stunned because their first reaction is to say, what? Man, I want to be a giant killer.
Yeah.
And you know what? You should want to be a giant killer.
Yeah, of course.
But you can't be a giant killer if you can't carry cheese and bread
Eat the cheese and bread, you find it in the field.
in the field. In
Wow.
obedience
And obedience.
and in submission to whoever's over your life.
So the yes from David
To his father,
Jesse
to carry cheese and
to
bread
carry cheese and bread.
on that specific day,
Yeah.
put him in the position to kill a giant.
And the yes from David, it was God's wills.
Exactly.
Well, that was awesome
Praise God,
conversation, and thank
Yeah.
you for sharing this with us and with all the people that is gonna be
Yeah, and
watching
I hope it's a blessing
this
to everybody.
this podcast. Of course, of course,
Sure.
and thank you for coming, Pastor.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Anytime. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. See you in the next episode.